Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Jenny. I'm from Jenny Card Designs. My YouTube channel contains content that is intended to share paper crafting, tutorials, and inspiration with all of you. I hope that you enjoy. So if you've watched any of my videos previously, you know that I love to support local Canadian craft stores, and one of my favorite places to shop at is called the Scrap of Paradise. They have a great selection of products from companies that we all know and love. I was so fortunate enough to be gifted this set of dies. Sarah from the Scrap of Paradise gave me this set along with one of my orders that I placed, and I was so excited to get this set home and try it out and see what it looks like. So there are two dies to this set. There is the layered floral cover die A and cover die B. And here's what they look like. They're just large A2 size plates. They'll cover an entire card front. There's a floral outline and a shadow layer for behind. So the first plate cuts this outline and the second one cuts this sort of detail. And then when you put the two together, it creates this amazing layered floral arrangement. So I went ahead and I cut a bunch of these out with different colored cardstocks. And I used a darker cardstock for the outline and a lighter cardstock for the inside shadow. And then I grabbed some Lawn Fawn liquid adhesive and just applied dots of adhesive all over the back of the outline die and glued it to the inside shadow. So I did that to all of my panels. And here is what those panels look like, just glued together. There's so much interest in them already, and we haven't even turned them into cards yet. And then I grabbed some glitter cardstock that I thought coordinated nicely with each of my panels. And I glued those down using this same liquid glue, and I just left a little bit of a border on the outside just to create some interest. And then I used my MISTI to put on top of my panels just so that the glue would adhere to that glittered cardstock. And then I took out some shimmer cardstock and I thought I was going to layer them on the shimmer cardstock, but when I put it up against the white card base, I felt like it looked better. So I stayed with that. I think there was enough interest with the layered die set and the glitter that it was enough. It didn't need another layer. So I'm trimming out all of these panels, and then I'm going to glue them to my card base. And I'm using a 120-pound heavy base weight smooth white cardstock. And I'll get all of those adhered. And here's what they look like so far. And then I grabbed some sentiment strips, and these are also stamp sets that I purchased from Scrap of Paradise. These are the Tailored Expressions Simple Strips. Now these simple strips are red rubber background stamps, and they're just a whole bunch of sentiment strips, and they have a coordinating die set that coordinate with the stamp sets, and they just cut out these little sentiment strips. Now the best part about this die set is that the dies work with all of the different simple strip stamp sets. So you need one die for, I think there's 4 of them so far. I have additional sentiment strips already stamped and cut out, and I store them in the back of my stamp pocket along with the stamp set. So when I need a quick sentiment strip, I can just grab it and glue it down. And that's what I've done here. I picked out 4 sentiment strips, and then I glued them to the front of the card, and I felt like that was enough. It didn't need too much. They are really bold and vibrant colors, and I was happy with the way they look. Here's a close-up look at the finished card project. And now I've got a bonus project using up some of my glitter scraps. So I've got a bunch of scraps left over here, and I'm going to use the layered floral cover die A. I'm just going to use that plate and no others, and I've grabbed some white cardstock, and I'll run that through my Gemini Junior die cutting machine. And I grabbed some large score tape. This is the 5.5-inch score tape. I'm going to cover the whole panel with this score tape to create a sticker. And then I'll just trim off any of the excess, and I'll take my bone folder and press that adhesive into the cardstock. And then I'll take my leftover strips and just cut them up using no particular measurements, just thin strips, thick strips, just mixing them up a bit. So I have a little bit of variation between the sizes of the strips. And I'm going to do that for all 4 of my large strips that are left over. I'll just line them up into little piles on the side of my desk. and then I'm going to pull off the release paper and I'm going to start laying the glittered strips diagonally across this page. So I'll lay down one strip and then I'll take the next color and lay it on top. And I'll just use a thinner strip here. There's no particular order that I'm putting these in. It's very random. The only thing that stays the same is the pattern of colors. I go from pink to silver to blue to gold, and then keep repeating that in just different sizes. And then I'll take this to my trimmer and I'll trim down the excess and get that panel all cleaned up. And then we've got this beautiful glittery background. And there was one tiny little piece that I missed, so I just grabbed a little scrap and filled it in. But I don't think it's going to matter with the cover plate. It's going to cover that up, but I fixed it anyways, just in case. So I'll move all of this stuff out of the way. I'm going to go over to the cover plate, and I didn't realize that I had 2 sheets of cardstock here, and it cut just fine. I pulled out both pieces of cardstock and removed all of the little bits and pieces, and then I adhered the 2 layers together with some Lawn Fawn glue. I'm just putting little dots all over the back of the panel and adhered the 2 pieces together to create a little bit of a thicker dimensional look. Okay, so once those are all glued together, I'm going to put some adhesive dots on the back of this and get that glued to my glitter panel. And I just love the way this comes out. It's just so pretty and fun and sparkly. And I only used 1 plate for this, so that's really neat about that. You don't have to use the plates together. You can use them separately. And I'm going to take a sentiment from the same Tailored Expression sentiment strips that we were using earlier in the previous cards. And this one says, "Thank you for being so sweet." And I used a little bit of foam squares and popped up that sentiment and put it right across my panel. I think that little pop of black really stands up off of that glittery, fun, colored background. And adhere that to my card base. And then that's going to be it for this card. Here's a close-up look at all of the cards that I've made here today. So this cover plate can give you so many different looks by changing up the cardstock, the backgrounds. There's just a lot you can do with it to make beautiful, elegant cards. So during this global pandemic, I encourage you to shop local. Support your local craft stores in hopes that we can keep them open and running, because there is no end date to what's happening, and small businesses are up in the air and nobody really knows where we're going to land. So I really feel like if you can afford to support locally, you should do that to keep your community thriving and the places that we all know and love so much. Keep the doors open. Please check out the Scrap of Paradise website if you're Canadian, and they offer free shipping with $100 orders and more. And if you're in the US, fear not, I have a link for the Altenew website where you can purchase these cover plates. They are available at altenew.com as well. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for stopping by and spending a little bit of your time with me here today. I appreciate all of the support. Coming up on screen are a few videos that I think you may enjoy. Have yourself a lovely day, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!